Let's talk about something we all do every single day. That chat by the coffee machine, the quick hello in the hallway. We're going to completely reframe how you think about it. Because that everyday small talk, it's not a distraction. It's actually your most powerful and probably most overlooked tool for getting ahead in your career.
Okay, let's really dig into this idea, because it's a big one. Think about it. Your resume, your performance data, that's the logic. That's what gets you in the door. But getting promoted, that's a whole different ballgame. It's all about trust, it's about perception, and it's about potential. And what we're going to see is that what leaders hear in your casual, off-the-cuff conversations, well, that shapes your future way more than you think.
You know, to really get this, let's just look at a quick real-world story. This perfectly shows this hidden system in action. And we're not talking about some big, formal presentation. Nope. It all comes down to a simple conversation on a Monday morning.
So, picture this. It's Monday morning. Two managers are talking about how the monsoon is delaying things. Manager A just kind of sighs and says it's annoying weather, but Manager B, who's dealing with the exact same problem, frames it totally differently. He calls it a supplier risk variable. Now, that seems like a subtle difference in words, right? But the outcome was absolutely huge. Just 3 months later, only Manager B was tapped to join a major cross-border project. The reason why? That's the secret we're going to unpack right now.
So, what was really going on behind the scenes? What did the senior leaders hear in that one little comment from Manager B that made all the difference? It wasn't about using fancy jargon. It was about revealing a completely different way of thinking.
See, leaders are constantly gathering data on people, and your small talk is a goldmine for them. They're trying to figure out who trusts whom. They're looking for signs of strategic thinking. And honestly, sometimes that perception matters even more than your raw performance numbers. And this is the big one. They are listening to see if you talk about systems or just anecdotes. Are you just describing a one-off event, like the rain is annoying? Or are you analyzing a pattern, a system, like this rain is a risk to our supply chain?
And this idea of contextual intelligence is so important, especially in business cultures like those in South Asia's supply chain sector. Understanding how seasonal logistics, festival cycles, and local culture all connect. That's not a nice to have, it's a must-have. So mentioning how a local festival might slow down deliveries isn't just you being polite. It's a massive signal that you actually get the complex reality of how things work on the ground.
So it becomes pretty clear, right? The issue isn't just how you're talking, but what your small talk shows about how you think. And this brings us to a really crucial concept for anyone who's serious about moving up. It's called the missing 33%. This comes from research by Susan Colantonio, and it's brilliant. She points out that most career advice we get focuses on our personal strengths and how we interact with people. Be a great team player, project confidence, all that good stuff. But it almost always misses the single most critical piece for leadership, your business, strategic, and financial acumen. Now, here's what's really fascinating. You see this chart? While all those personal and interpersonal skills are absolutely essential, that's the 67%, it's that missing 33%, your business acumen, that organizations rate twice as heavily when they're looking for high-potential people they can promote into leadership roles.
So what is this acumen we're talking about? It's really just your ability to show that you get it. You understand where the whole organization is trying to go, you know the strategy, and you see exactly how your job helps push all of that forward. The bottom line is this. You have to prove, just through your everyday language, that you're on the same page as the company's biggest goals. Okay, that all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it, right? How do you start showing this missing 33% when you're just chatting with your boss? Well, let's get practical and break it down with a really powerful framework called SICA.
SKILCA is basically a 4-step process, and it's designed to turn any casual conversation, I'm talking about the weather, your commute, anything, into a subtle but really clear demonstration of your leadership potential. Let's walk through it step by step.
First up, context signaling. This is exactly what our star, Manager B, did. You take something from your immediate environment, the weather, a festival, whatever, and you connect it to a business impact. This simple little move instantly signals that you're thinking ahead, that you anticipate problems, and that you see the business variables, not just your own personal inconvenience. And here it is in action. It's the shift from saying, "Wow, it's really raining out there," to saying, "This monsoon is shifting the inland routes. Maybe we should reevaluate our dispatch windows." See the difference? One is a passive observation. The other is a strategic insight.
All right,
The second step is observation to insight conversion. This is all about taking a personal story, like a messy business trip, and turning it into a real business insight. This is so powerful because it shows you can recognize patterns, and that is a core trait of every single strategic thinker.
So instead of just complaining, man, my trip was a nightmare, the traffic was terrible, you pivot. You say something like, that trip really showed me how much Tier 2 retail is booming out by those industrial corridors. That could actually be a new sourcing opportunity for us. Just like that, your personal story becomes actionable business intelligence. Third, we have cultural and empathic calibration. This is where you use those little cultural details, food, local traditions, festivals, not just to make polite conversation, but as actual data points. You're using them to show you understand your team or your customers on a deeper level. This demonstrates a kind of cultural fluency that's absolutely critical for building trust, especially in global or cross-functional teams.
For instance, just noticing that, hey, local snack sales always go crazy right before this festival isn't just a fun fact. When you frame it as, this could be a key demand signal for our Q4 logistics planning, you've just turned a simple cultural observation into a strategic business indicator.
And finally, step 4, operational framing and actioning. This is the last crucial piece of the puzzle. It's about taking any insight you share and turning it into a concrete, recommended next step. And why is this so important? Because leaders reward people who get rid of ambiguity and offer a clear path forward.
So after you describe a delay and what it means for the business, you don't just stop. You add a simple, concise action. I recommend we reschedule next week's audits to make sure we preserve decision clarity. That little addition is what takes you from being someone who just spots problems to someone who solves them.
Okay, so let's put this all together and look at the real payoff. We're going to compare two people in the exact same situation. One has a tactical mindset, and the other has a strategic one.
On the left, you've got the tactical professional. They say, the supplier visit was delayed because of crowds and rain. We managed. It's purely descriptive, it's reactive. Now look at the right. The strategic professional says, festival and monsoon delays impacted transport. I recommend we revise our safety stock for Q3. The difference is night and day. One person is just describing the past, the other is using the past to proactively shape the future. Now, who would you promote?
So as we wrap this up, just remember this. The technical work you do, your actual job, is of course essential. But it's how you frame and describe that work and everything around it, in those everyday informal moments, that's what really expands your influence and supercharges your career.
So I'll leave you with this question. What is your next informal conversation going to signal about you? Start thinking of small talk as your own personal leadership lab. It's low cost, and you get to practice all the time. Just try to apply one piece of the Simca framework this week and see what happens.